After Rihanna's Super Bowl halftime performance, renowned choreographer Frank Gatson took to Instagram to wish the singer happy birthday, but also let the world know that Rihanna has had the best Super Bowl halftime performance of all time. Now, Frank has worked with En Vogue, Brandy, Kelly Rowland, Jennifer Lopez, Michael Jackson, and is most recognized for spearheading the creative direction behind Beyonce's live performances and choreography, which is probably why everyone is giving him the side eye for his opinion. Now, Frank's reasoning for this conclusion was because of the following. Rihanna had a great wardrobe, great uses of stage space and set design, amazing dancers, and her stage presence was quote-unquote chill. So because everyone is using Beyonce as a reference, I'm going to compare both hers and Rihanna's performances and break down why I think Frank Gatson is wrong, child. I'll be going by vocals, the elements of the set, and most importantly, artist stage presence. Now, this is probably the biggest deciding factor between both ladies and has always been a controversial topic when it comes to respecting Rihanna as a recording artist. Because the bottom line is Rihanna has struggled in the vocal department for her entire career. And as much as she may have a serviceable voice, thanks to the studio magic, it heavily pales in comparison to Beyonce's vocal ability. And during live performances, it is extremely evident. Being able to sing live is for many a big factor when performing because it showcases the real raw talent of an artist and strips away the smoke and mirrors of what Pro Tools and Auto-Tune can do. Now, although singing pregnant can be a task due to the baby crowding your diaphragm and lungs, which impacts your breath control, I'm not giving Rihanna a pass on this one. Sorry, y'all. Since she was barely moving, I would have expected her to sing live for the majority of the performance, but she really didn't. And that's probably the least she could have done since she couldn't go hard with the choreography. Rihanna is not belting, nor does she possess a 5-octave range, so it is a bit perplexing to see mostly lip syncing. And while Beyonce did use pre-recorded vocals for a couple of her numbers, yes, Bumblebees, she did, so let's not be dotish or delusional. She still managed to sound extremely good when the mic was on while simultaneously executing dance moves for 13 minutes straight. So this within itself puts Beyonce's performance way above Miss Fenty Beauty's. One thing that really impressed me about both these ladies was the set design for their Super Bowl halftime shows. Rihanna was inspired by Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. Video game, yeah, we've all seen the jokes, and decided to do her performance hundreds of feet in the air at certain points. While Beyonce decided to have 2 side profiles of herself adjacent to each other as her set, probably symbolizing the dichotomy of Beyonce and Sasha Fierce. Yes, this bitch used her face as a stage. And at one point in the show, the stage displayed Beyonce's trademark flowing hair that we normally see when she performs. Personally, I do think both sets are extremely unique, but I do think Rihanna edged Beyonce out on this one. I mean, Frank did have a point in how clean the usage of space was on the ground and in the air. And this was something that we have never seen during a Super Bowl halftime show before. Lighting and proximate pyrotechnics, hands down, Beyonce won that round. While I can appreciate the subtlety of Rihanna's lighting and proximate pyrotechnics, there was nothing really special about it. Beyonce's use of effects were eye-catching from start to end. For example, in the beginning, the use of the scattered flashing spotlights in a pitch-black stadium invoking bewilderment and anticipation, while Vince Lombardi's speech on how the road to excellence and achievement is difficult was a brilliant build-up to her explosive entrance. We saw as what I will refer to as the face stage illuminate in this fiery domino effect with a giant-sized blazing contour of the artist as smoke and flames around it appeared. And as that image collapses and the smoke slowly clears, Beyonce herself appears rising as a silhouette, belting Love on top a cappella with colored spotlight changes every time her pitch reaches a different altitude on the course. Child, it is chef kiss, it is perfection. And I can go on and break down every detail in each number, but we don't have that kind of time. The use of Beyonce's lighting and proximate pyrotechnics gives each song an added buildup that keeps your eye on the screen. It also heavily accents the percussions on each number, which allows you to feel the power of the performance in each song. Okay, so who had the best choreography? Now, for some, this may be a loaded question, and I can understand why. When we look at both Rihanna and Beyonce's dancers, it's extremely easy to say that Rihanna had the upper hand. The choreography was done by Paris Goebels, who is brilliant at her craft and is known for executing well-coordinated and clean dance numbers. Rihanna's dancers were nothing short of excellent during the performance. They were extremely coordinated, almost giving a copy and paste illusion. But I also have to note Rihanna's dancers were the ones pretty much doing all the leg work during the majority of the halftime show. But we do have to say she only beats Beyonce just on that technicality. We also have to remember that Beyonce cannot over-choreograph her numbers because she's actually singing live or sometimes giving the illusion that she is. Imagine trying to belt serviceable C5 notes while moving that vigorously. Like, unless you have the infinite stamina of Yahweh, child, you will have a crappy sounding performance and destroy your voice over the course of time. And yes, I get it, Rihanna is pregnant. She's not going to bust a windmill on her belly. But when I watch a performance, I rather see an artist who usually incorporates movement into their usual sets do exactly that. Move. I don't want to watch you just power walk around the stage, barely lip syncing for your life, darling. And this topic right here perfectly segues into the last point that I'm going to make on both these ladies. Stage presence. No question about it. I do not need to do a double take. Don't fight me, fight your shadow. Beyonce is the absolute winner of this category, hands down, all day, every day. And the pregnancy crap is no excuse, Fenty Navy. We've seen Beyonce on stage with child on numerous occasions and still give an alluring and captivating performance. Whether or not Beyonce is barefoot and pregnant, she commands the stage and always has all eyes on her despite whatever is around. And this is something that Rihanna has also struggled with for her entire career. Most of her performance was her sort of smizing at the camera and then having barely any expression on her face. And Frank tried to peddle this as her being cool and coming from an honest place. Child, please. Like, come on. The Super Bowl halftime show is one of the biggest performances an artist can do in their lifetime. This is not a lounge or small venue performance. And yes, I get it, y'all. She's pregnant and can't really go hard on the choreography, but at least be more expressive in your face or be big in whatever arm movements you can manage to do. The stage is big, and if your presence cannot be felt or if you get lost in all the special effects and accents of your set, then you've probably done poorly. And for me, that's what happened to Rihanna. I spent most of my time looking at her dancers than her. She became the background and they became the foreground, which is usually the case with Madame Navy anytime she performs. And this has never happened to Beyonce. Even if we step out of the Super Bowl arena and look at Mrs. Carter's Coachella performance, in which the dancers were a highlighted factor, Beyonce still remained the center of attention. Point being, your dancers and your set shouldn't drown your presence. They should enhance it. And once again, Beyonce has outdone Robyn Fenty in another category. Now, I'll give my props to Rihanna. She is probably one of the biggest artists of our time. She has sold millions of records, she's had an amazing catalog, and has now successfully branched off into the beauty industry with her makeup and clothing lines. And only God himself can take that away from her. Now, do I think her Super Bowl halftime performance was atrocious? Absolutely not. But for Frank Gatson to call this the best Super Bowl performance ever is a crock of shit and a slap in the face to other entertainers who are twice as talented and have rocked the stage and have left everything out there. And I'm not going to give props to someone who has lip synced and walked through her numbers. Like, we're not going to do that, Frank. Like it or not, Rihanna has many strengths, but unfortunately, performing will never be one of them. And it was certainly showcased during that Super Bowl halftime performance. But what do y'all think? Do you think Rihanna has had the best Super Bowl halftime performance ever? Or do you think Frank Gatson is reaching?